Imagine opening your door to strangers offering you a choice: money or death. This is the reality for a Juarez newspaper publisher. "We have come on behalf of a friend," they said. "He wants to pay you to review every article about Amado Carrillo Fuentes." The publisher refused, but the strangers had another offer: take the money and stay silent, or be killed. Left with no good options, the publisher decided to sell his newspaper overnight. This is the story of Amado Carrillo Fuentes, the notorious Mexican drug trafficker known as the Lord of the Skies. Carrillo's power is felt everywhere in Juarez. No one dares to mention his name in the press. Over coffee at Sanborn's, a fashionable restaurant, journalists discuss Carrillo's influence. 3 months earlier, Carrillo dined publicly with bodyguards and a police official, a show of strength. Carrillo's power is demonstrated in many ways, from planes loaded with cocaine to bodies left in the streets. He controls the El Paso-Juarez corridor. The main drug smuggling route into the U.S. El Paso is becoming a little Miami, its prosperity tied to the drug trade. Juarez is a city held hostage, with hundreds murdered over the past 3 years due to the drug trade. Carrillo's rise to power was no accident. He learned from the mistakes of his peers and seized opportunities. His wealth and crimes are ignored by the Mexican government, while American agents wait for him to slip up. The El Paso-Juarez corridor became a drug smuggler's paradise in the 1980s. In 1989, the DEA discovered 21.38 tons of cocaine in a California warehouse, all smuggled through this corridor. This bust was a wake-up call for American law enforcement, revealing the extent of the Colombian-Mexican drug network. The Colombians exploited Mexico's smuggling expertise, using it to move drugs into the U.S. Carrillo's organization became the primary link between Colombian drugs and American consumers. Despite the bust, the corridor remained active, with millions of vehicles crossing the border unsearched. Carrillo's network was vast, involving numerous traffickers and corrupt officials on both sides of the border. He learned the trade from his uncle and other notorious traffickers, rising through the ranks. Carrillo preferred alliances over violence, but he wasn't afraid to use force when necessary. He united Mexican drug lords, convincing them to let him broker deals with the Colombian cartels. Carrillo's operations were sophisticated, involving planes, tunnels, and vehicles to smuggle drugs. He compromised law enforcement officials, ensuring his shipments crossed the border unimpeded. Carrillo's organization was large and efficient, capable of moving massive quantities of drugs. Despite his power, Carrillo faced threats, including an assassination attempt by the Colombian cartel. In 1994, American agents targeted Carrillo's port runners, seizing tons of cocaine and marijuana. Carrillo's response to seizures was brutal, ordering the assassination of anyone suspected of betrayal. Juarez is a city under siege, with hundreds of drug-related murders and no arrests. El Paso, meanwhile, enjoys a false prosperity, its economy buoyed by drug money. "One day, we'll wake up and realize the impact," warns a DEA agent. "It'll be too late."